What's going on, everybody? I'm back again for another Twisted Tuesdays. I know it's been a minute. I used to do every Tuesday, but now I'm only doing once a month. But you know what? It's all good. I still get to have these conversations with my favorite people every time. So, hey, it's still a good episode. But today, I have my sister Shera Renee returning back to the platform. You know, she always gonna be up here, y'all. And my brother, Thomas Barron. Man, listen, we a time is always had when I get these two on the stage. So this is gonna be a great episode. And today we're talking about marriage because all of us have experienced marriage at some point in life. So we're gonna talk about marriage. You know, is it okay to stay in a marriage, and being happy just for the sake of the kids? Now, I know I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers with this topic, but hey, it is what it is. That's what it's about. So, after their countdown, please welcome these amazing two individuals back to the platform again. How y'all doing?
What's
Hey.
up? What's up?
Happening? What's happening? So I'm gonna let you start, sis, because you know what, I always let everybody start and then I get my opinion. So I'm gonna let you start and then I'm gonna let Thomas start.
Okay, so for those who have not listened to the Women's Beauty Podcast, I talk about this all the time. And your girl has been married not once but twice, been divorced not once but twice. So my answer is no. It is not acceptable to remain in an unhappy marriage for the sake of the kids. And I say that seriously. I say no because um you have to be your best self for your children. And if you are not in a good mental space, especially now with everything going on, there is nothing like good mental health. And if you are not in a good space to show up every day, fully present for yourself, how can you pour into others that you're supposed to steward over, which is your children? And I'm not just talking about unhappy in the regards of I like the toilet seat down and he leaves the toilet seat up. That's superficial. That's idiotic. But I'm talking about fully unhappy to the point where it prioritizes your peace. It takes you to a place where you're unfamiliar and it allows you to become a shell of yourself. I would say no, it's not.
Um, Only being married once, only been married once, only gonna be married once, and I still say no. No, you should never ever remain in an unhappy marriage for the sake of the children. I know people who have done that, who are in unhappy marriages right now, and they are staying for the sake of the children. And it's if you think those kids don't know y'all unhappy, you are delusional. You are completely aloof if you think your kids can't tell that you are unhappy in your marriage. So, yeah, I've been married since 2010. Come June, it'll be 15 years that I've been married. And if we were unhappy, we probably wouldn't be here.
But you know what? I come from a time, y'all, where the older crowd, the older generation, they stay together no matter what in their marriage. Like the kids, if they was getting beat, whatever they went through, they stayed together. So, you coming up in that type of, environment where they said, you need to stay with you. Once you get married, you with that person, you stay with that person forevermore, no matter what, especially when you have kids. How do you navigate that? Like in your own marriage, and me being married for 10 years, just recently celebrating 10 years, I think if people knew what marriage was about from the very beginning, I think a lot of people wouldn't get into it. A lot of people wouldn't get married if they knew all the things they had to endure during that time period of being married. Oh, I gotta, I might get sick, or my spouse might get sick. We both might lose jobs, and now we're struggling to make ends meet. We gotta sleep in the car. We gotta do this. I don't think a lot of people would want to get married. But now in this generation, there's a lot of like my son. My son used to say all the time, I don't want to get married. I just want one baby mama. All my kids have the same mother, but I don't got to get married to her. Now his mindset is a little bit different. The older he gets, his mindset changed to the point where, well, you know what, mom, I might want to get married one day, you know, but I want to be the right person. I said, sometimes, you know, it's not about being the right person. It's about whether that person can withstand with you through the good and the bad. You know, it's not about the right person per se. So he was like, well, you know, you might have a point. I said, if they can deal with you not, you know, losing a job as a man, because you know that's big. A man lose a job, everybody looks at that man like the world just came to the end, you know. So if they can be okay and not bash you in that moment and support you and uplift you, that's the person. That's your person. So that's my take on it. Sis, why
As
you
you were
looking like
talking, as you were you know, I was having a visual as you were talking. I was thinking about the color purple, and I feel like it depends on what you want to get married for. In the olden days, you know, our grandparents generation and before them, the women were stay-at-home moms. They cooked, they cleaned, like Celie, right? They cooked, they cleaned, they raised the children, they did all of those things. So that was their role. And that's what marriage looked like. As a woman, I'm supposed to do this, and that's it. I'm supposed to accept the man going out to work. I'm supposed to accept him to be a certain type of way out here in these streets, even if he is out here talking to other women or he's beating on me or whatever the case may be. That is the norm, right? I think as we get older, come down the line in regards to our generation and underneath us and stuff like that, we're more knowledgeable and we are more in tune with our feelings as we have gotten rights and speaking up for ourselves, and we have more knowledge into what we want and based off of what we need. The dynamics have changed. You know, now it's not just I want somebody to keep the house clean or I want somebody to raise my children. Now it's I want somebody to make me happy. I want to marry for love. I want to marry for partnership. I want to marry for, because let's keep it a buck. You talk about people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, right? Um, People don't think they married for love. People think that they're married for business. So in that regard, it works because here I am, a mogul in my own right. He's a mogul in his own right. Let's come together and build an empire that nobody can take down. So if that's the goal, you found the person suitable for that goal. Let's make it happen. So it's all about an individual thing and what you want in regards to the goal and just making it work.
Both of y'all hit on some real good points. Nikki, I hit on the point of, is she gonna stay when you lose your job? Because I spend way too much time on social media these days, and there's a whole movement of if he lost his job, I'm gone. There's that thought process of I'm a woman and I'm not providing for no man. Now, mind you, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he has a ton of money saved up. It doesn't matter if he cashes out that 401k. It doesn't matter if he can actually take care of his household. But because he lost his job, now I'm out. And me being in the situations that I have been, I have lost jobs. I have moved. I just got fired last year from a job, and she held me down while she could, and now I'm back up, and we back up because she was willing to be, hey, I got it for the little bit of time that you need me to have it, and then once you back up, then we get back up together, and we doing it together, and it's important to know that you're going to have somebody there for you when you're in your downtimes, because downtimes are going to come whether you want them to or not. And I'm not talking about the abuse. I'm not talking about the unhappy people who are just in miserable marriages and you don't like or love your spouse. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about people that's madly in love and they're willing to sacrifice because that person is the person that they want to be with. And you're willing to encourage and uplift me, and I'm willing to do the same for you when you're in your downtime. Me and my wife are coming to an agreement because we have everybody has down days. Everybody has days that stink. I'm having a day that stinks right now. It's just the way it is, and we have an agreement that if one is down, both can't be down. And we got that from our pastors. Like if I'm down, you can't be down because if we both down, then it's not good for nobody. We're gonna neglect each other, and we're gonna neglect the house, and we're gonna neglect the kids, and nothing's gonna get done. So if I'm down, you got to be up. If you down, I'll be up. I completely forgot where I was going with the other point because Shera said something that hit me hard, and I can't remember what it is right now. My memory bank is not where it needs to be today. But if you're staying in an unhappy place for your children will grow up to be unhappy people just like y'all were, and they're gonna mimic and emulate what they see, and they're gonna be like, okay, well, dad and mom stayed together and they were miserable. I could do the same.
But you know what? I think that over the years, the definition of marriage has changed. And that's the reason why people now, I don't think they'll stay. But see, that's why it's necessary to have those hard conversations with your spouse or with who you're pertaining to, trying to marry. Because me and my wife, we just adopted a child. So we had that conversation. What if one day we decide we're gonna divorce? What happens to our child? Do we co-parent? Does she stay with me? Does she stay with you? You have to have them type of conversations. So at the end of the day, if you have to part from each other, that child is still going to be okay. So you don't have to stay together for that child to be happy. You still can act in a co-parenting situation and be respectful to each other and still be happy without one another. So I don't think, it's a good idea for people to stay in these situations because when the child gets grown, then you're stuck. It's a lot of people that stay for the sake of the children and they're still married even after the child is gone and they can't stand each other. So you still stay in this unhappy situation and the children, they're gone living their lives, without you. And you still looking at Harold or Jill and don't even like her or him. So now you create this space where you're like, like Thomas said, you stay in this situation, you're unhappy, your kids are unhappy, they're going to grow up to be unhappy people, and they're going to think that it's okay to stay in situations like that instead of walking away. Now, y'all know I'm not a believer of divorce. I've said it a lot of times. I feel like when you marry a person, and that maybe come from me being raised. Now, my mom has never been married. So I really don't know where I get that idea of no divorce. But I feel like once you find that person in your life that you say you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you should try to make it work. Unless it's something that just you can't resolve. But I don't believe in divorce. And if I do divorce, trust and believe, I'm not getting married again. That's it. That's it for me. I ain't going to what? Man, this the way of the world now with dating is crazy. I couldn't imagine myself getting to know somebody else all over again after spending almost 20 years in a relationship. They don't want me out there. I'm old. So nah. That's my take on that, y'all. Sis, you got a visual again. That's what you looking like. You got a visual.
No, I was just listening because, I think a lot of the times too, it's an individual thing. And when you come from relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship, you don't have time to process who you are after said relationship, because who you are going into the relationship is not who you are after the relationship. And people don't take the time to really do the self work to really tap into, okay, well, when I was with such and such, and let's use Harold. When I was with Harold, um, I like to stay home. But then as I left Harold or whatever, let me try this. Let me see this. Let me see that. Now I like to, I like to go out. So you can't bring the same thing to the next person because you kind of like copy and pasting. And then after a while you kind of realize like I don't really like that. Like you have to get to know yourself, because what you do in the single space will show up in the dating space, and what you do in the dating space will show up in the marital space. So once you do all the work and you know what you're supposed to do and you know what you like and what you don't like, you kind of give yourself the leverage to make better decisions. But because a lot of people They like the familiar, right? Like you said, you stay together with this person and the kids is gone. But because now I'm 40 something or I'm 50 something, I don't believe that love is still out here for me because I done had all my kids are grown. Um, Medically maybe I can't do what I used to do or whatever the case may be, but just like you're out there, there's somebody else out there, and that's why it's important to, and we're all believers, that's why it's important to lean not into your own understanding and trust that what's for you won't miss you no matter what age you are. If you feel as though it's time for you to move, you have to trust that God is going to bring you there and he's going to keep you there and do what it is that he's supposed to do in your life, and make sure that you do have the desires of your heart. If you're genuinely wanting to be married and you're genuinely wanting to be happy, you were the good steward over your children, you did what you were supposed to do, you were the good wife or husband, because sometimes it be the women too, you were the good wife or the good husband, why don't you think God will reward your loyalty? Why do you don't think he would show up for you? You would rather stay in something and just live a miserable life. God don't want that for us. We're all parents. I don't want my child to settle for anything. I want the absolute best for my child. And if I feel like my child is in a situation that is not conducive for him or his stability to grow, I'm going to remove him or pray that circumstances allow him to remove himself and he can be in a position for me to give him something better. And we have to believe God for that.
I'm uh, I'm a big proponent of doing the work, and when I say doing the work, I mean doing the work whether single or married. Because little do these single folk know, marriage is a whole career, not a job, a career, a lifetime career. Because I'm like Nikki, I don't like that D word. I don't like divorce. I don't even like to talk about it. Me and my wife have never had a divorce conversation because it was never an option. The only because let's be honest here. I'm a believer, and when I stood on that altar in front of that pastor, I not only took vows in front of my family, I took vow before God. And God calls marriage a covenant. Now, what's a covenant? A covenant is something that's supposed to last forever. Literally, you say in your vows, till death do us part. Now, do I believe you should stay in an abusive marriage? Absolutely not. Do I believe you should stay in a marriage where your spouse is unfaithful? Absolutely not. But if you choose to, that's your choice. You have an option to get, because I know abused folk, and I'll tell them straight up, is in that instant, it's better to ask for forgiveness. There's no reason anybody should stay in a marriage where they're being physically, emotionally, or mentally abused. Period. And that's why me and my wife have the conversations we have, because abuse was never an option for either one of us. We don't yell and cuss at each other. Yes, we have heated agreements, but yelling and cussing is not an option. I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen. We come to an understanding, agreement, and or compromise. And if we agree to disagree, then we just separate for a little bit inside the same house, and then we come back together when we're both calm and level. Infidelity, same thing. If your spouse cheats, you have an out. You have the right to leave. Christ says so in the Bible. You have a right to leave because of unfaithfulness. But if you choose to stay there, that's your choice. But you also have to get past it, and you cannot hold it over that spouse's head. Because if you decide to stay, that means you forgave them. And if you forgive, you have to be like God is and throw it in the sea of forgetfulness. See, people don't like that. They don't like the part where they have to throw their forgiveness into the sea of forgetfulness like God does. But they just want to remember and remember and remember. Well, if you're trying to get past it, you can't keep remembering. Because it says get past it. That means you have to move forward, and whatever that is has to stay behind. And staying in those kind of marriages is not going to move forward anywhere. It's going to stay right there. Because it can't move until one of you decides to move. And that abusive spouse ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. They're going to stay right where they are because you're going to allow them to stay where they are until you decide to move. And your kids see all that. If you think your kids missed something, go ask them questions. As little as 3, 4, 5 years old, they catch everything. They watch everything. They mimic and emulate everything. That's like my kids. My son is like me. He's not a hugger. He's not a cuddler. He is not a physical person whatsoever. Only with his mother. And I feel like he's going to be the same way when he gets a wife. Anybody else, don't touch me, she can. And I'm the same way. I don't like nobody touching me except my mama, my sisters, or my wife. I barely hug my brother. And I love my brother to death. That's my ace. He's my day one. That's the one person I know I can call and just whatever. But I also watched him in his marriage, and I watched my brother-in-law be married to my oldest sister. And they emulated two things for me. One, when it gets bad, sit down and talk. Two, leaving is not an option unless I have to leave. The problem is a lot of these young folk don't have these examples anymore. Now they got these, I'm going to get in trouble. They got these independent women raising them. And they don't know what good relationships look like anymore. Because now it's all online dating. You're swiping on your phone. You're not getting to know nobody. You're going out to dinner. My God. I know I'm getting long with it, but I got to bring this up. We had a conversation at my job yesterday about a meme that one of my coworkers saw that says, if I go out on a date and a man pays with his Cash App card, I'm leaving. And we like, what difference does it make if he paid? Why does it matter? And this is the stuff that they're dealing with and that they're being brainwashed with. Because some men, they'll pay for that just to test to see where you at. Just to see where your head is. And you may have missed out on your husband because you left because he got Cash App. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm on my soapbox.
I wanted to say something really quick because Thomas said something, and I wanted to, for the people that are watching this, he said no, don't quote me, but he said one of the rules or lessons that he learned was you do not leave unless you have to leave. Nowadays, we are in a position to leave because we want to leave. And there is a difference between wanting to leave versus having to leave. Abuse and cheating, those are have to leave situations because those things can affect your mental health, right? Those things can affect your life. Those things can also affect, because we're talking about being unhappy, they can also not just affect you being unhappy, but your children being unhappy. Wanting to leave, and a lot of the times this is where we are now with marriage and society, people are wanting to leave. I want to leave him or I want to leave her because she's not doing this or he's not doing that, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side, when that is just, as Tyler Perry said, the 80-20 rule, that's just 20% of the things that you want. But your wife or your husband is giving you 80% of the things that you need. If you are sick, here's your spouse. They'll be the one that you can trust to make decisions on your behalf. As opposed to this person, they might be a freak or have all of this money, in the bank, whatever the reason is. But if something happens to you, just like in the Tyler Perry movie, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, they'll just let something happen to you. They're not going to sit here and say you do everything you can for him or you do everything you can for her. They're just going to be like, he's not going to be able to walk. Yeah, no, pull a plug. Like, so we have to really be mindful when we do decide to um tackle this marriage component, because a lot of people show up for marriage for the wedding and not for the marriage. A lot of people are preparing, we've been preparing as little girls for the marriage, well, the wedding, since we were little. The dress, the colors, the this, the that's. But men, I always believe men, they prepare for the actual marriage. Women prepare for the wedding and men prepare for the marriage. That's why a lot of them don't like to talk about marriage, because they know what it's like to be somebody's husband. We know what it's like to be somebody's bride. There's a difference, not a wife, but a bride. So we have to really, really be careful, when we're tackling marriage, because it's not easy, and it's not something that you should take lightly. The old folks say that all the time, and it's so true. And I wanted to touch on another thing Thomas said in regards to the children seeing everything. In my last marriage, that was, abusive, and I thought I was doing a good job at hiding, what was going on, because I didn't let things be seen in public, but things were heard in private, right? So my oldest comes to me and he said, "Mommy, you good?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm good." He was like, "No, you're not." Now I'm smiling. I'm smiling. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." "No, you're not." And I'm like, "What you mean? No, I'm not." He said, "Because the type of person you are, you're not that person. You're bubbly, you're happy, you're this, you're that." And he was like, "Now you don't even take pictures. Now you barely get dressed. Now you don't do your hair." So he's really watching, these things, and you really have to be careful, because all your secrets are not secrets. What you think you're hiding or covering up, you're just creating a bigger lump. You know how when you sweep things under the rug, people are starting to see those emotional, physical, mental lumps that you are leaving. So you really, really have to be mindful of the person that you're choosing as a partner. It's very, very imperative that you do that.
See, every time I bring Shera up here, we always be over 30 minutes. So now I know when I bring Thomas up here, we're gonna be over our 20-minute mark. He went on a whole soapbox before I want him to go on a soapbox, y'all. Y'all see that? Now I'm fit
You
to put
might as
him
well
on a
just have
real.
this for 2 hours, child, because me and him together, oh baby, just this is gonna be an
Woo,
episode. This ain't no twisted, baby.
I
This
done
Oh
messed
yeah, we
about
we we
an
talking
hour.
talking right now. We talking.
I done messed up, y'all. So now I'm about to put them on their real soapboxes. So what I want y'all to do now, you got to tell everybody how to find the Blemish Beauty. To follow the Blemish Beauty. If you going back into it, y'all, I'm trying to get her back into Blemish Beauty, but we ain't gonna talk about that right now. But tell everybody how to look at your episodes, all the good stuff, whatever you want to tell them that's going on in 2025. We move in silence over here, and give them some advice about marriage, because I think these young people out here, they're really confused about what marriage really is and what it means to really be married. So both of y'all, I'm about to put y'all in y'all soapboxes.
Thank you, because I was about to say, baby, let me go first, because once Thomas, I don't want to follow that. Okay, we thank you, Lord. He answers prayers. Okay, so this, you guys, you know me, I am a regular on Breaking the Silence. This is your girl Shera Renee, your favorite Jersey girl, and you can follow me on my pages, Shera Renee, and whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's the Blemish Beauty podcast, the preparation podcast, whatever I'm doing and I got going on, you can follow all of that on my page, the Shera Renee page, because I will put it up and you guys can like and love that. In regards to marriage, I want you guys to understand that when you do walk down that aisle biblically, in the Bible, when people put things on the altar, they put things on the altar as a sacrifice. And marriage is no different. When you make that declaration, whether you are walking down a church altar, uh, a altar in your backyard, or the altar at a courthouse, you are making a physical, emotional, spiritual declaration to your spouse and to God that you are dying to yourself and you are becoming the best version of yourself for the sake of the unit. That is you, God, and your spouse. Anything else outside of that triangle is null and void. It's supposed to be a three-stranded cord. So if you are not ready to sacrifice your needs for the sake or the betterment of the unit, don't do it. If you are not ready to um, become the best version of yourself for the sake of the unit, don't do it. If you are not ready to go into it for the long haul, don't do it, because marriage, we don't like the D word around here, but if necessary, we do encourage it. But marriage is something that people should not take lightly. Marriage is something that you should not just do because you got pregnant and the church people is telling you to do it. That's a whole nother twisted. Marriage is not something that you do to one up somebody because so and so got married and you the only single person in your friends group. Marriage is something that you do because you are trying to honor God, and you are trying to honor your spouse, and you are trying to become the best version of yourself with another person, and to create an atmosphere for your community that they can be or use as a blueprint. That's it. Soapbox over, Nikki.
You ain't had to say that in the beginning neither, but that's okay. That's my sister all over. To follow me on Facebook, you're gonna have to find me through Shera or Nikki. Because, like I always say, there's a million Thomas Barrons on Facebook, and you will not find me just by searching for Thomas Barron. People have tried and failed. So find me through Nikki or through Shera on Facebook. On IG is Tommy Guns 920. TOMMYGUNZ 920. That's where I spend most of my time anyway on social media. As far as marriage advice, I think Shera hit every point, to be honest with you. Marriage is a covenant. When you say your vows at the altar, it says love, honor, cherish forever. When forever ends and humanly death. Like Shera said, we don't like the word, but in certain instances, when you need to leave, then it is an option. Can you be the best version of you with you? If you can't be the best version of you with you, you will never be the best version of you with somebody else. You cannot expect someone to make you better. Now, can you and your spouse work together to make each other better? Absolutely. Because in certain instances, we like to say, our spouse is our better half. The problem is people are getting half a people. You can't be a half a person and expect to be okay with another half a person. You have to be two whole people that come together and form one whole union. And then you add God to that. Now you have one holy union. Stop leaving over the superficial things. The he can't cook or she can't cook. You can learn to cook. Stop leaving over things that happen in the bedroom. You can teach each other how to please each other. Stop leaving each other over, finances. You can always find finances. Money is everywhere. Start learning how to work through the bad times so that the good times can be better. Because bad times are going to come, but your bad should never outweigh your good. And start looking for the good in the little things. Stop looking for the spectacular. The spectacular can come, but the spectacular will never last more than a few moments. We will become more of a sustainable society when we learn that there are things deeper than what goes on in your wants. Learn how to stay through the bad times so your good times can be great. And Nikki, I'm done.
He said, Nikki, I'm done. Dropped mic. That's what he did. He dropped the mic and said, I'm done. Thank y'all so much for tuning into another Twisted Tuesdays with my favorite people. Y'all listen, marriage, just know marriage is work. Like he said, it's not a job, it's a career. Like you have to be in it to win. You really have to be in it to want it. And stop, judging one another based off little things. Like you said, you can learn how to cook. You can learn how to cook. You can teach them how to treat you in the bedroom. All of that. Stop leaving people thinking that, the grass is greener on the other side, because not often it is. And it's never okay to stay somewhere where you're unhappy. If you're unhappy in a marriage, you got to find another way to co-parent with one another so you can raise better individuals, because you don't want them to go into situations settling for people because they saw mom and dad, mom and mom, or dad and dad. The dynamic of family is different now. They saw them stick together regardless of whatever. That's not the case. You don't want them to settle for things. So before you make that decision to say I do, really know that you do. So until next time that we cross the stage for another Twisted Tuesdays, having a real conversation about real life, I hope that y'all stay inspired. Y'all stay strong. I know it's hard out there, but regardless of what you're going through, just hang in there. Because guess what? It ain't always bad. You're going to go through a storm. You're going to get through a storm, and you're going to come out that storm, right? So everything's going to be all right. So until next time, stay strong, be inspired. Tell somebody you love them. Later.
So one of the things that I didn't understand then, but I understand now, is you will understand it more by and by. And for me, that means you will understand it as you grow, as life starts life. And the thing that you will understand is the importance of having a relationship with God, the importance of peace of mind, the importance of isolating yourself, the importance of community, and the importance of having good people around you, because just like children, adults need villages too.
But you know what? That's the same thing as bye bye is the same thing as keep living. I mean, I'm like, my mom used to say that all the time. I'm gonna keep living. I want to. I want to keep living with you. Thanks for tuning in to another Twisted Tuesdays. Join me on the last Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. See you then.